Welcome. So in this video, we're going to talk a little bit about the IDE Eclipse. IDE stands for Integrated Development Environment. So let's go ahead and take a look at that. Now, when you download Eclipse, it doesn't really install like a traditional program. You take the folder and expand that folder somewhere. I expanded it into my program files, and as you can see, there's a folder that's Eclipse, and Eclipse is under that. You just double click on the exe file, and it will start Eclipse. When you've done that, for me at least, I go ahead and I pin it to my taskbar down here, so that way it's real easy to get to. I don't have to go find it where I've stored it on the hard drive. It makes the life a little bit easier. Now, when you first start Eclipse, it's going to ask you where you'd like to create a workspace. Now, once you've done this, you don't have to create it again unless you want to change it. I often recommend for most people just to go ahead and put it on your desktop. And you might want to add folder name. And then we're going to go ahead and say use this as the default and do not ask again. And then we're going to launch Eclipse. As you can see, it made that little folder over here for us, and that's where our workspace is going to be. This is important because this is where you will find your project when it comes time to zip it up and send in your assignment. As you can see, Eclipse is taking a little bit of time to load, and part of that's because this is the very first time I've ran Eclipse on this particular laptop. I want to make sure everyone saw that workspace piece. Now, once you're here, we're going to go ahead and feel free to read this welcome if you'd like. We're going to go ahead and close that, and we're going to create a new project, and we are looking for a Java project. And let's click next. And you can give your project a name. Oftentimes people will name their projects similar to what the assignment is. Some assignments have multiple classes in them, and so you might just, name it oftentimes your name. Do not use periods unless you are looking to create a little bit more like a package, but as you can see, you won't even be able to do that. So don't use a period. If you want, you can say project name weights underscore week one, whatever you feel is appropriate for the project name. I oftentimes tell everyone I recommend using Java 1.8. It is the standard for the class. I have the ability to look at other Javas and use other Javas, but if you stick to 1.8, more than likely you're not going to have any problems with me having to compile the file. And if I have a problem compiling the file, you're going to get a 0 on that project until you resubmit it in something that I'm able to open it in. So again, using the Java 1.8 is best in this case. I'm going to go ahead and say finish. Now we have our libraries and our source. Do not put your files in the source. It's just going to cause you problems. So instead, on the project, right-click and say New, Class. Sorry. New package, sorry. You want to create a new package first. And again, you can make this package Once you want, again, do not use periods. We're going to go ahead and just let it use the name. And it's under this package is where we want to create our classes. So we can say new class. You can also use, I believe this is the pack. So we just created a package using the right click to do that. You can also use this button up here, as well as when you have the package highlighted, you can also click here to create a new class. Oftentimes people will name the class. Um, well, one, sometimes in the projects or the assignments, you'll be given a name to use for the class, and the class name should be the same as what you want the class name to be, right? So the file name is the same as the class name. So let's go ahead and let's just say uh, in this particular assignment, we are creating a dog class. Always make sure that you have the public stat void main selected. Now down the road, when we get into some of the later weeks, you may actually create classes that don't have the static void main. But do remember, for most projects, until we get down into some other stuff, um, most projects need to have at least one class that has this static void main, because this static void main is what starts the application when you go to run it. We'll go ahead and click finish. And Eclipse will create the bones for your class. So in this, for me, I like to come up here and put my name and oftentimes my student number. Just that way, it makes it simple when it comes time to be graded, as well as for some reason, if I can't understand whose this file is based on the folder structure, if your name is in it with your student number, then it makes it real simple for me to figure it out. If you have a common last name, please make sure you put your last name and your first, or at least your first initial. Here is your public static void main. A couple of things. Always remember that you need to be commenting your code. If you think you've done too much commenting, you haven't. The more comments you give me, the better your grade will be in that section. And I do grade, part of your grade is based on how much you comment your code. I need to see your comments because that's how I know that you understand the material and that you are putting it together as you put the code together. So we're going to real quick. Oops, sorry about that. I'm having a hard time typing tonight. And there's our print line. Now that we've done that and we've added our semicolon, we're going to go ahead and run this. It's going to ask us to make sure that we save it. And then down here is our output, system world. Hello world. Now, what happens if for some reason your code gets a little misformatted like this? Now, in Java, we use the formatting style where the open brace is up on the same line as public static void, or your the name of your method, right? And so if that happens, if you see that your code's kind of ugly looking and it's not really formatted correctly, you can go under source and go to format, and there you go. It'll help format your file nice and neatly. One last thing to remember: when you're creating a class, make sure the first letter of your class is capitalized. This is a traditional standard used in Java development. And so if you don't capitalize that first letter, uh, other Java developers looking at your code might not immediately recognize it as a class because they're expecting classes to start with the capital first letter. So that is how you use Eclipse. Thank you, and I hope you have a great night. Talk to you later.